David Attenborough and that, man. Right, but what you do see is that old serpent out there doing the same thing he was doing back in the prior time, working with Eve, right, which is a so-called black woman, against the so-called black man, which is the Negroes, Hispanics, Native American, man. To do what, man? To destroy them, right? That's why you got the whole household is all broken up. The whole household going back onto the Willie Lynch letter, right? And the ordinance is put forth by the man Willie Lynch to keep your so-called Negro slaves in check, man. That whole thing is recycling, man. Esau doesn't even have to worry about you Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans being destroyed, man. He's got a system for that. He's got them black women doing that for you, man. For him, man. All right. They had a mathematical plan to where that was gonna be self-refueling, man. Right, and that was you so-called black men going back onto Eve, and that's why it's known here within the scriptures as the old serpent, man. Right, to where you got it right now, man. Right, you got the your so-called Negro, Hispanic, and Native American households, man. Right, you got them households out there. You got you got them women out there in control of them households. Right, but the man, knowing he's the dominant force, leaves. Right now, the woman's trying being the man and the woman. Right. And then in so doing, the children go all, they grow up backwards, man. Right? The women grow up as men, right? And the men grow up as women, man. To be physically strong but mentally weak, man. All right? That's how they raise their children. Guess what, man? That's a self-recycling, self-fueled machine, man. Right? To be completely subservient, right, to Esau. All right? But that's why the scripture says, man, that the devil, that old serpent, man. All right, it says there, which deceived the whole world, right? He was cast out into the earth, and his angels were cast out with him. It says, and I heard a loud voice saying, now is salvation come, and strength, and the kingdom of our power, right, and the power of Yahushua Mashiach. For the accuser of our brethren is cast down, right? The accuser of our brethren, got all kind of, all kind of things that they say against Jake, man, all kind of accusations, man. Whether they have it to where Jake goes into prison for all kind of different things out there, man. Right? So the accuser of our brethren is going to be cast down, man. All right? The accuser of our brethren is cast down, right? Which accused them before our power day and night. It says, and they overcame him by the blood of the Lamb and by the word and testimony, by the word of their testimony. Right, so what's the word of your testimony? Being out here and pushing this truth to the four corners of the earth, man. Right? It says here, and they love not their lives unto death, man. All right? So to the men, the men are gonna make it out here. They're gonna be saved by faith, by the word of their testimony, by the blood of Yahushua, right? And not loving your life, man. Right? Pretty much resenting your life. That's what the scripture says, man. Right, it says the scripture says, man, if we be dead in Yahushua, right, when he's risen up, we're gonna live with him. So guess what, man, you're dead right now. Man. All right, and a lot of you guys think you're alive, man, but you don't know what living is, man. All right, you don't know what that is, man. All right. Now this is back in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, and it says. In fact, I want to touch on one more point before I go back into the book of 2nd Ezra. It's the book of Wisdom, the 5th chapter. Wisdom Solomon, the 5th chapter, and the 1st verse on down. Let's get to it. Right, this is Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, and the 1st verse. It says, then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as afflicted him. All right? And that's the time we're in right now. And that's fitting because that's one of the, that ties in back with the first scripture that I pulled out when in the book of Zephaniah, the 2nd chapter on the 1st verse. Right? Namely, come gather yourselves together, O ye nation not desired. All right? It says, then shall a righteous man stand in great boldness, right, before the face of such as afflicted him, and made no accounts of his labors, man. Namely, when you go out into this society, into this working environment, man, and you can be the richest so-called Negro or black man or whatever you want to call yourself, these sports athletes, right, musicians, and so on and so forth, man. Right, but the so-called Jew that owns a record company, or the so-called Jew that owns the sports company, man, the sports franchise, man, he makes 100-fold for all the work that you did, right? So guess what, man? You might be a millionaire, but really, you don't benefit for the work you put in, man. The so-called Jew benefits from that, man. And that's what the scripture says here, man. Then shall the righteous man stand in great boldness before the face of such as afflicted at him and made no accounts of his labor. It says, when they see it, they shall be troubled. When they see what, man? Going back onto Second Ezra, the book of Second Ezra, the 13th chapter, what I'm reading right now, man. When they see what? When they see that big ass chariot, that mountain that looks like a big mountain, but you're gonna look around and say, yo, man, where's that mountain been peeled out? Where's it been cut out from? Right, but there ain't gonna be no place to find it. Why? Because the Messiah had it to where that mountain, which is the chariot, which is the mother ship, man. Right? That's gonna be coming from outer space, man. Right? So when they see it, right, they shall be troubled with terrible fear and shall be amazed at the strangeness of his salvation. Because that's strange unto people. We used to talk to these people about chariots and that, man. That's strange unto them. But you go into their history, man, right? And you can read it into your history, man. If you want to know these chariots and UFOs, man, just read your history, man. Right? Read your history books, man. Right? Read how Christopher Columbus got into the Americas, man. A chariot guided him onto them. Read about the salvation of the Israelites when they was coming out of Egypt, right? And they were in the wilderness. Guess what, man? There was chariots all around them, man. All right. Right, so in certain times when the Most High has to where those chariots going to reveal themselves, and that's going to be strange unto you, because that's going to be our salvation. It's going to be the strangeness of our salvation. All right, it says, so far beyond all that they look for, they repenting and groaning for anguish the spirit shall say within themselves, this is he whom we had in sometimes who he had sometimes in derision and a proverb and a reproach. All right, holding on to that point. This is the book of I'm holding a few. I'm not going to be able to finish all of them, but the scriptures been brought out there, so you brothers can sit at home and open up and read all of those, all the chapters, right? But this is the book of Job 30:1, right? And I'm gonna read it verbatim, right? I'll quote the links and that, but right, this is Joel 30:1. It says, but now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would have disdained to set with the flocks of my flock. Right, so now the Most High, they set up to where Job was like, when you go into linguistics, all right, and you study different novels and all of that, man, there's what's known as foreshadowing. All right, and foreshadowing is just a technique used by a writer, right, to show something that's going to happen later in the book by a previous event. And what you have it to where here, the man Job, right, was a means of foreshadowing, right, what was going to happen later on in the future for the Negroes, Hispanics, Native Americans. Namely, it was going to go through some of the worst atrocities, right, ever recorded in history. But ultimately, at the end, Mosai was going to give them even more than they would have had in the beginning, man. What's the beginning, right? Like the book of Amos, the 9th chapter, and the 8th verse says, right? The house of David, man, right? Closing up the breaches there. But we're not going to be like the kingdom of Israel that you knew from the former time. It's going to be even more improved than that, man. The scripture speaks about it, okay? So it says there, yea, whereunto my strength might profit me, in whom old age was perished, right? For want of famine, they were solitary, fleeing into the wilderness, right? Fleeing into the wilderness in the former time, desolate and waste. We cut mallows by bushes and juniper roots, right, for their meat. And this is talking about Esau when they were chased out there into the mountains, man, because they were thieves and robbers, man. Hey, that's how Esau is right now, man. And you got into where our people don't even conceive that, they don't even see that, man. This is the same old devil coming back, man, doing the same old devil shit, man. Doing the same old devil fuckery, man. Right? Stealing, robbing, murdering. That's his nature, man. Right? Killing, man. That's his nature, man. That's why he's known as king. Right? His blessing was a sword, man. Right, but you got it to where some people think that you can take down Esau by your own hands. But guess what? You're gonna need a spiritual intervention, because the Most High blessed Esau with this technology, man. That's when you go into the scripture. It says, "I've created the smith that bloweth his coals, right, and bringeth forth his instrument of his work." It says that in the book of Isaiah. All right, the Most High created them Edomite German scientists to bring forth them instruments of destruction, man. That's his blessing, all right. Check the time real quick. Right, that's his blessing, all right. So guess what? When the Most High has it to where he gets destroyed, man, it's gonna be by way of spiritual intervention, man. And that's what you read. That's what you're reading in the book of Joel. That's what you're reading in the book of 2nd Ezra, the 13th chapter, Revelations, the 12th chapter, and so on and so forth. It's spiritual intervention. The Most High stepping in, right, and then raising up his men, and they're gonna fight and battle, but they're gonna be fighting with spiritual battle. Because when you go into that book where it talks about the Most High creating the smith, I believe the next verse says, "Any weapon that is formed against thee shall not prosper." And how is it not going to prosper? Man, you got all kind of nuclear weapons out there, all kind of ICBMs, man, out there. How is it gonna? How are you gonna survive that, man? Or taking forth the, so what I'm looking for here, your duties, man, right? Pushing this word, that's like the scripture says. It says, put on the whole armor of the Most High, right? When you put that forth, ultimately that's gonna become a physical armor, wherein the Most High is gonna have it to where you actually the missiles not even gonna touch you, man. All right, but really we're gonna be saved out of that. So as the missiles gonna be bursting up and so on and so forth, you're gonna be delivered out of that, man. Hence the strangeness of our salvation, man. All right, back in the book of Job, the 30th chapter, all right, it says, right, they were driven forth from among men, they cried after them, right, as if after a thief, man, right? Who does that sound? That sounds like them so-called Jews, man, right? They get kicked out of everywhere, every place they go to, man. All right, so they had to set up their own, elect, man. They had to make themselves an election, man, right? Hell, you got it to where Edomites don't even like them so-called Jews, man. All right, but ultimately, all of Esau, they follow them. They conduct themselves by the same nature, man. All right. It says here, to dwell in the clefts of the rocks and the caves of the earth, and in the rocks, right, amongst the bushes they prayed, and under nettles they were gathered together, man. Right. The book of Obadiah also tells you about that. He says, "Thy pride in thy heart hath deceived thee, thou that dwellest in the clefts of the rocks, man." Right, talking about you Edomites, man. You Caucasus, man. Came from the Caucasus Mountains, man. So the scriptures is elaborate, man. You just gotta open up the scriptures, right? Do a few Google searches, man, and that's you get some elementary understanding, man. All right. It says they were children of base men, right? They were viler than the earth, right? And now am I their son? Am I their byword? And that's why the scripture. That's why I had that scripture come out in the book of Zephaniah, the second chapter, and the first verse, where it talks about come together, all nations not desired, man. Right? Because like I said, Job was just a foreshadowing of what was going to happen in the future. Now we're their byword. They call you niggas, man. They call you spicks, right? They call you wetbacks, all kind of bywords, man. You don't know what these people say behind closed doors, man. You don't know what these Edomites are like behind closed doors, man. All right, but the disdain that they have for you, all right, the great hatred that they have for you, you can only imagine what they say, man. Who knows what goes through their mind when they're in their own, when in the comfort of their own houses, all right. So it says there, man. But now am I their song? Am I their bywords? They abhor me, right? They flee far from me, and they spit on my face. Right? It says, because they have loosed my cord and they afflicted me, right? And they have loosed the burden. Now I'm gonna jump to the point. It says, this is really that was the point. The point was in the first verse. But you can read the whole book going down. So it says in the first verse, right? But now they that are younger than me have me in derision, whose fathers I would have the same to set with the flocks of my dogs. All right. Again, back onto the book of not Joel, not Second Ezra. Right. Book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, on the 3rd verse. It says, "They repenting and groaning for anguish of spirit shall say within themselves, this is he whom he had sometimes in derision, a proverb and a reproach." That's exactly the same thing is said in Job, man. Right? So you're going to have a flipping of the tables, man. All right? In fact, I'll bring out the scripture in the book of Revelations, the 13th chapter. And the 9th verse that speaks on the same thing. It says, "If any man have ear, let him hear. He that leadeth into captivity," just like how we was led into captivity, right? Behind the so-called, by way of the Arabs, into the so-called white man's hands. But he that leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. So them, all of them different nations go into captivity. Right? And he says, "He that killeth with the sword must be killed with the sword." Here's the patience and the faith of the saints. Alright? So you're gonna have the flipping of the tables, right? In fact, the scripture goes on to say, we shall possess our possessions, man, in the book of Isaiah, the 14th chapter. Alright? That's exactly what it's talking about here in the book of Wisdom, in the 5th chapter, man. Alright? But it touches on that a little bit, because after this, man, after Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter is accomplished, you're going to have a kingdom wherein the children of Israel is going to dwell in. But how is it going to be governed? How is it going to exist in all of that, man? Alright?
You just start feeling a bit dizzy after a while.
Alright, so it says here in the book of Wisdom of Solomon, the 5th chapter, on the 4th verse, it says, "We fools accounted his life for madness, and his end without honor. How is he numbered amongst the children of the Most High, and his lots amongst the saints? It says, therefore have we erred, right, from our way of truth, and the way of righteousness is not shined unto us." Now let's talk about Jake, man, because Jake is, had it to where they're open to this truth, but the Most High has got it to where 2/3 of our people ain't gonna understand, man. Right? And they ain't gonna make it, man. And they're gonna be looking up into them chariots, gonna be like, damn, man. Right? We had them as a byword and a reproach, because we are a byword. Men of the Lord, the elect, as likened unto a byword unto their prophets, man. When you go into the book of Proverbs, like I quoted a little bit earlier on, man, they say they scoff. In fact, when you go into the book of 2 Timothy, maybe the 4th chapter. In fact, let me see if I can get it real quick.
When all the fog cleared away.
See if I can get it real quick. I can't find it right now, but it says something to the effect of, "Behold, in the last days shall come scoffers and scorners." Man. Vast majority of those people are the Negroes, Hispanics, our own people, man. Right? That's the vast majority of the scoffers and scorners. See, like I said before, man, it was a self-refueling weapon that Esau created when he gave the so-called black woman all of the power that she believes that she's got right now, man, to destroy the so-called black, Hispanic, and Native American household, man. Right? It was a self-refueling machine to where you got it to where the elect men, hopefully, the hopeful elect men, but namely the men at GMS, they'll be out there pushing all kind of videos, and the main people that scoff, right, is the people that we go out there, that we're supposed to be going out there for, but because they're not the elect, the Most ain't open their mind out to the truth, man. All right. Right, so start finishing off, wrapping this up right now. Right, it says this is back in the book of 2 Ezra, the 13th chapter, in the 8th verse. It says, "After this I beheld, and lo, they were gathered together to him to subdue him, and they were so afraid and durst fight. And lo, as he saw the violence of the multitude that came, he neither lifted up his hand, nor held a sword, nor any instrument of war." Because he's the Most High, he's the son of the Most High, man. He's the son of the power. So he didn't bring out no arms or anything like that, right? He just just got it to where his word was gonna come out. All right, looks like it's gonna get a bit rainy out there, but I was getting prepared to cut out now. So I'll say, double honest to you brothers out there. All right, honest double honest to you brothers out there. Sorry, rather more double honest to the elders of GMS. Honest to you brothers that be pushing this truth in sincerity. All right, I'll check you on the next one, man. You stay up on on the information and that, man. All right, and stay up in this truth, man. You see it, man. Right, the Most High is going to where this thing is getting ready to be. This kingdom's getting ready to be destroyed out here, man. Right, it ain't too long. It's not going to be too long when the Most High is going to have it to where his man's going to be out here, right, catching all of this hell underneath the so-called white man, right? And you're going to have it. In fact, it looks all right, but like I said, I was looking to close out any minute now, but. You got it to where this man's doing all kind of atrocities out there, man. Right, murdering, robbing, raping, all of these different countries out there, all of these different people out there. And the Most High ain't gonna have it to where he's gonna go out that much longer, man. Doth not the scriptures say, though it tarry, wait for it, because it shall surely come to pass. And what's he talking about? He's talking about his word, man. And as you've seen within the scriptures, man, the word of the Most High, the word of the Most High is that the Esau is gonna be destroyed, man. Right? The word of the Most High is that he has it to where, man, Esau's not just only going to be destroyed. When we're talking about Esau being destroyed, we're talking about his power structure, his monetary structure, right? We're talking about his military structure, man. That's going to be brought down to the ground, man. All right? It says in the scriptures, man, it says break the teeth, right, of the young lions. What's the teeth of the young lions, man? Them young lions are them so-called white people right now because they be out there devouring the nations, man. All right? Break the teeth, break the military structure, right, of this man. Once his military structure is, in fact, I'll bring that out, man, because I was looking to bring that out. I believe it's in Psalms, the 58th chapter. Yeah, I believe it's in Psalms, the 58th chapter. Right, it's Psalms 58 and 6. It says, break their teeth, right, O Yahweh, in their mouth, break out the teeth of the young lions, O Lord,